One of the biggest requested videos is we have a manipulation drill that we do with the Nunchaku, and everybody's been kind of, hey Sensei, can you do that video? And I'm like, yeah, I'll do that video for you. Just make sure that you don't do this in the house or around things that you can break, because it's real easy for beginners to drop the weapon, and that's something that we're trying to avoid. When I get through this, I'll show you guys a couple other things as well. This is the full manipulation video as well, the full drill. Okay? Then we start, always show respect, right? You're going to separate the Nunchaku, stand out as such. Now keep in mind, down here, none of this really matters, just so you guys know that. So we're going to be in this method here. The first thing that we're going to do is chamber. To chamber, we're going to point one Nunchaku at our heart and wrap around so it goes on the outside. Bring it back out. Same thing. Bring it back out. We're going to do that again. This time we're going to release and trap underneath the arm and then re-catch. Switch sides. Release and trap underneath the arm and re-catch. Bring it back out over here. Okay? We're going to go from this position here to hip. Okay? Hip, hip, back, catch, back, and then back out. Okay? I'm going to do this from the side, that much of it, so you can see it. So I'll turn this way. Okay? And an angle. Switch, switch. Make sure you swing over the arm. Okay. That's pretty much kind of where we let off teaching beginners and everything. I'm going to just run the whole thing for you. Now keep in mind, I am doing this hantai, so if I go that direction, if I'm using my right, you're using your left. So you can do this as if we're facing a mirror, because I teach this from the front of the dojo. So we're going to start here. Chamber, chamber, catch, catch. Oops, I forgot that one in the beginning of it. Catch, armpit, re-chamber. Catch, armpit, re-chamber, re-catch. Hip, hip, swing over the top, catch, swing over the top, catch, hit, re-chamber. Okay? And then this next part of this, we're going to do a figure 8 and catch. Switch sides, figure 8 and catch. Switch back. Okay? Now this is where it gets kind of fun. We're going to go hip, behind the back, hip, behind the back, up, set to the beginning. Okay, so one more time from an angle so you guys can see this. Back out. That's probably the easiest way to do that. If you're doing this, just make sure you do it slow and you keep yourself protected. As you notice, I always had, whenever I went from my hip to my hip, I always had my hand up to protect my head. I'll never have my hand down whenever I'm doing that. Okay? You can play with this a lot and do some other stuff with it. Now, let's talk about rolling. That was something that I had like 4 people ask, Sensei, how do we roll the Nunchaku? You put them on the floor and kick up? No. Rolling is simple, but you have to do something that's not traditional. Traditionally, we hold down at the base so that we get maximized power whenever we strike somebody. Very important, okay? When you do rolling, you actually have to choke up towards the top of it. Where it is going to be, where your hand needs to be depends on your hand. But you basically got to keep it going and not be afraid to let go of it. As you notice, I open my hand and I allow it to just roll over the front and the back. Roll, roll. It's not that hard, so you guys can see it from the side. Roll, roll. Very simple, okay? And you should always practice, like I said, both hands. And as you can tell, my left is suffering. I probably should be training that a little bit more, but I can still at least do it. Rolling is kind of fun. Figure eighting. There are 2 figure eights. Forward figure 8, or what I call striking downward, and a reverse figure 8, striking upward. All right. When you do this, the hand is literally drawing a figure 8, as you can see. A sideways figure 8. And that's important. Now for beginners, you're going to be using a lot of wrist movement, getting that nunchaku moving around with the wrist. For advanced, you're just going to use the nunchaku. As you can see, there's very little wrist movement there. The first one that we're doing is going to be striking down. Start in your yoi position, and you want to go down and down. You want to turn the palm. As you can see, my hand's turning over, and get that figure 8 in there. Okay, and then once again, always trap and switch sides, working that figure 8. And always trap when you're done. Don't just stop the nunchaku, trap it on the hip. Okay? Reverse figure 8. We do this left-handed in Tonaki no Nunchaku, so don't freak out on this one. When you're standing there like this, you need to have, the first one we're doing, I'm going to cover that, you're striking down. This one you'll be striking up. So the nunchaku is actually going to go up. So it comes towards the body instead of forward. As you can see, that's forward. So when I do this, his sensei, when he first taught Tonaki to me, he said you need to throw the nunchaku backwards and keep that motion going. Very simple. See, keep the motion going. Notice how the nunchaku is striking up, 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 and once again, always trap, and then switch sides. Same thing. Strike up, 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 and switch sides. Okay? Working the nunchaku, one of the drills that we like to do in the dojo is called freestyling. It's where you take a 30-second window, you hold the nunchaku. I'm not going to do it for the full 30 seconds because I don't want to bore you guys. But you take 30 seconds and you just manipulate the nunchaku, moving around, doing some basic strikes. You can start however you want. You know, just get the I'll do like 10 seconds, but you just kind of keep the nunchaku moving. That's kind of the whole point of this. Working both sides equally as possible. A little Harlem Globetrotter there for you. You know, this is kind of important as far as the nunchaku goes. Keeping them moving, okay? And that was a little longer than 10 seconds, but just something fun to do. Once again, don't do this in the house around broken stuff, or stuff you can break, or around people, please, around people. Now, another thing I want to cover. When you're training nunchaku, especially for beginners, you will have a tendency to attempt to do some of the more advanced catches and you'll drop it. Let it stop before you bend down to pick it up. Same rule with our bow and every other weapon in the dojo. Stop motion, then pick it up, okay? Don't bend down to catch it. I've seen bows pop up and break people's teeth. I've seen people drop nunchaku and bend down and it popped up and caught them in the side of the head and cut them open. They're not toys. There's a lot of martial arts schools that teach nunchaku with padded nunchucks and all this other stuff. That defeats the entire purpose of training kobudo. They just do that because they want your money. They probably don't even really know what a real nunchaku is. They don't even know how to strike with one or use one. We do know how to use these. We do train with them. So they become a valuable weapon, an asset as well. It's also important when you're training with the nunchaku, respect it as if you would respect a loaded gun. It's not a toy. Okay, I'm going to repeat that. It is not a toy. Striking with it we'll get into later. You know, that's something that I have to teach in person. I can probably cover it in a video, but it probably wouldn't be that good. I can use Bob. Maybe I'll do that later for you guys and talk about how we strike and how the nunchaku is handled effectively to strike. Once again, that's nunchaku handling. Nunchaku, not nunchucks, not chucks, not nunchucks. Nunchaku. Very important. You train traditional kobudo and traditional karate. You got to know the names and say it properly. If anybody has any questions, hit me up. I'll talk to you guys soon.